What's up, spell singers? My name is Garion John Wells.
I'm Flitton.
And I'm Cory, Janibagian.
And this is Untap Upkeep Drink. Beer up. Welcome back, guys. This is a mini-sode. We had some extra content from the last episode, so we're going to probably release this within, a little ahead of schedule before Fridays.
Yeah,
this is just like the end of the discussion where we went long and just romanticized over some delicious alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, it turns out when I try and cram in extra stuff into an episode that I know is probably already going to go long, it's a bad idea, and that's kind of bad writing. But then I remember, it's not bad writing because I didn't write anything for this episode.
Write it.
Yeah, turns out when you get a bunch of dudes in a room and talk about all the things that we love, we just like to talk and talk and talk.
Oh, God.
But let's get into it. I've got my surprise.
We did this beautiful seamless transition with editing. Here we go. So we have officially poured the Goose Island? Yeah.
Goose Island Bourbon County Brand Stout.
From 2015.
Yeah, it is the oldest one that I could possibly get my hands on because somebody else was holding on to it for that long and decided to share a bottle.
Was kind enough to share it with us. Now, we've mentioned them on the show many times. All of their employees are great. But this is Marceller's Vintage Wines and Brews. They're on Park Avenue in Idaho Falls, Idaho. That's our hometown.
Yeah, if you're ever in Southeast Idaho, look them up. It's worth the visit. Like, I assure you. So on the back of their card, they've got Idaho Falls' best selection of wines and microbrews available by the glass, bottle, or case. And I think that we could broaden that out to just southern Idaho, Southeast Idaho, northern Utah, all of Utah. Like, if you go from, let's say, Moab up, they probably have the best selection that you could possibly get.
Yeah, Idaho Falls has gotten a lot better beer-wise in the last few years, but Marcello's is still just the anchor.
Yeah, Plus, they just have, a cool vibe. It's a good place to go hang out and drink.
Yeah, you literally go and you're like, man, that beer looks good. And they're like, would you like that in a glass? And you're like, oh, yes, please.
Yeah, all of them are super chill. They know what they're talking about. They're always doing events and wine tastings.
Yeah, every Thursday night they have their wine tasting, something like that.
Yeah.
Which I haven't been in because I'm not a big wine fan, but every single time I'm like, man, if I'm ever here on a Thursday, I should do that.
Yeah, and just because they're in the know, they're always changing things out and being like, hey, if you like this, you should try this and then this.
They're also just beer and wine fans. So if you like beer and you're going in for that, you can just talk to them and they'll talk your ear off and they'll give you all of the information. They pop have you tried this one? This one's really good.
It's not a sales pitch. It's not, we just got this new model in. Would you like? It's, dude, I tried this last Friday and it was fucking good.
Yeah, it is, hey, we just got this in. But it's also we just got this in and I tried it and this is why I liked it.
Yeah.
But if you don't like those, notes, try out this one instead. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, it's a really cool spot for sure.
Yeah, they're great. So I've been hoarding this just to keep so that Cory doesn't have a smell or taste of it yet.
The pour was black as sin.
Yeah, when they talk about
50 plus
motor oil. So I think this is a 15.2%.
Oh my God. Oh, it's bourbon barrel aged, so it's got some.
Oh, this one's only 13.7. It's not the strongest of the lot, but it has been sitting for about 4 years now. So I believe with the Bourbon County Brand Stout, they age it for 6 months, and then they have their distribution. Yeah. And so they had their release in November of the year. And so, even though it says it's 2015, it was close to 2016.
So does September 15th.
Yeah.
Does the alcohol develop more as it ages, or does it decrease as it ages? I can't remember how it
sealed like that, because I would assume it
wouldn't go
remain
down
pretty constant because there shouldn't be any yeast surviving in it to actually make that. But there should be some evaporation and concentration of it, so it would be more.
Yeah, I know that's mostly a problem with barrel aging stuff because just inherently they're not sealed as well.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna dive in and I'm gonna immediately pass it to Garion because he's experienced before, and then Cory, get that first novel impression of just the most wonderful beer.
I think I'm being skewed.
Absolutely. So Garion, I don't want you to really describe. I want Cory to do all of the description on this one, but you'll have that taste and you'll understand.
Okay, this is the prequel guess. It's not an imperial stout, but because it's aged in bourbon barrels, it's going to have a heavy fucking alcohol content, and you're going to taste it and smell it. But I'm looking for sweet. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know if I'm going to find it. All right.
No, just
impressions.
Okay, boys.
Smell.
Took a big whiff, and I've described a couple dark beers on here before, but it smells just like soy sauce, and it's real weird. You only understand if you know what I'm saying.
Once
but that's
you
exactly
hear the
what it
word soy
tastes like.
sauce and smell it. That's what. Yeah.
But soy sauce and there's alcohol. Good goddamn.
It kind of.
This is easily one of the best beers I've ever had.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Holy moly.
incredible.
It's just the malty richness. You can't escape it.
It's thick.
And it lingers.
fuck.
Like, it's just...
What was the word we used earlier? Viscous.
The-
From the last episode.
It's weird to say, but you can taste all the aged just on the back of your tongue.
Yeah.
Just like kind of that... I don't know. It's kind of like a smokiness, but it's just sitting there.
yeah, it just
It's so good.
it's fucking delicious.
But it's heavy.
yeah, the
as hell.
2018 the word that I described it with that I felt was like very like akin to was like alcoholic pumpernickel
Yes.
because it does have
Yeah,
that kind of like
yeasty.
that yeasty heavy texture with that those rich earthy
Yeah,
tones.
just the grainy, just dark sugars that come through.
But then you also just have that malty taste that is both sugary and roasty, and then you have the bourbon taste, which has these like oaky, almost vanilla-y kind
there's
of like.
it's when you talk about complex flavors. This one, when it takes 10 words to describe how it tastes,
Yeah.
that's how you know it's good beer.
Yeah, when you keep on like listing off words, and you know that you still haven't quite described it all.
and that's just the flavor, not just the consistency and the color and
Yeah.
all of these different aspects of beer.
Yeah, we've had the
Color black.
description of motor oil as, a description of beer. And I think that this kind of matches that. And it's weird because I think the first time we did the 2018, I guess the only time we've done the 2018, it developed a lot more of a head when we poured it.
Yeah.
And this one was very, very low. Like that.
Yeah,
it took
it didn't have a
everything I
head.
had just to try and like give it head. And I was just like, I don't want to spill any of it, so I'm being careful.
You said give it head. So to me, I counted it out to 10 seconds. That's how long this evolves in your mouth because it starts out with a bit of alcohol burn and almost like a carbonation kind of feeling. Immediately within like a quarter of a second, you get hella sweet. To me, this is exactly what I wanted. It's sweet malt. It's almost like molasses kind of thick.
I think that's a good way to describe
It's like the closest a beer gets to a milkshake. You know what I mean? Like it's just so sweet. And then it moves from there to like the wood and the age and sort of that bourbon kind of burn. And then if you swallow and just taste your tongue for about 10 seconds, it moves straight
Yeah, I was gonna say
grain
10
and
seconds
malt.
is like while it's in your mouth. If you hold it for 10 seconds, you get that. But as soon as you swallow, I get like the malty taste comes back. And then there's like a half second, and then there's like this cut where it's almost metallic.
It's like a zing.
Yeah, and then that kind of like lingers there and like fades back into like some chocolatey stuff.
Yeah,
and then
I've had it sitting for a moment now, and it's I'm just getting rich chocolate, like bitter cocoa.
and then it kind of
notes.
like
That's with nothing in your mouth. That's just what
Yeah.
lingers.
and then it kind of like fades into almost like a coffee-esque bitterness that lingers for a while. And then I get that. It's like when you take a shot, like you have a really strong alcohol, and you have that like the alcohol vapor basically sitting on your
Yeah.
tongue. It has like that kind of right towards the end, but you still have everything else. Oh, I will.
Complexity level 10.5 out of 10. Very, very good. I think because it is so strong, it's hard to put it as top beer of the year, though it is extremely good.
I think this is tied for number one
With your 2018?
the 2018. Yeah, like literally like.
all the best beers I've had this year are the same beer.
But different year. Like this is one of those beers, and I always say when we're talking about like bombers and stuff like that, you buy a bomber to share, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of why you have that. Bombers are for sharing. This is exactly one of those things. And like the next beer that I have on my list as far as like best beers of this year was the one that we had at Friendsgiving for Drew's Brews, the Mama's Milk Imperial Milk Stout from Vernal Brewing in Vernal, Utah. And so I think that might actually just be one of the contenders for best beer in Utah for me at this point in time because it was just so incredible. And it's weird because all of the flavors from that one were so basic in nature, but everything was just done so damn well that like it was just an incredible flavor journey throughout the entire experience. And that's kind of what this one is as well that we're sipping on now.
Yeah.
Is that you do want to sit back and enjoy this for an extended period of time, but at the same time, you also want to share it with anyone who's passionate about beer, because it is just like, you know, you're going to pass it to them, and they're going to sip on it, and they're going to smile, and it's just like, damn. Like, if people just hate dark beer, they're not going to like this.
Oh yeah,
But,
this
like,
is as dark as you get.
But anyone who enjoys beer and like understands the flavors and complexities that you can get out of a beer, they like have that, and they're like, holy shit, that is.
yeah, this is a beer for beer people.
Yeah.
God damn, it's just chocolate and coffee and syrup, malt. It's so sweet and good. If I had to name my top beer of the year, it's probably the Samuel Smith Double Chocolate Stout.
The organic chocolate.
I loved that beer. It was very similar to this in that it was dark and malty, but obviously didn't have nearly the alcohol content and the sort of extreme flavors that you would get from a beer like this. But it was still just so complex and sweet, and I'm a sweet beer type of guy. But I wanted to have an honorable mention that is like my favorite basic beer of the year, which was Pineapple Cart. And I've had a whole bunch of people just shit on me for it, because there's actually quite a few people that just don't like it. It is kind of bland. It's basic. It's a wheat beer, but it's just fruity and delicious. And it's probably my go-to. Like, if I'm going to buy 12 beers, it's probably going to be Pineapple Carts. Like, I just love the shit out of it.
I think pineapple beers are just hard to nail.
Yeah.
Because it just tastes like
It's a unique flavor.
pineapple is either really good fresh or really bad not fresh any other time. So my favorite beer this year was I still haven't been able to find it. I've only had it once. Oh, no. But it's from a local brewery here in Utah. It's it's from Shades Brewing.
Oh yeah.
Not 50 Shades. And they have a bunch of different sours, but my favorite one that I had was their Tom Kha sour.
Dude, my roommate was talking about that. He's got some of their beers.
insane.
He's got like a collection. He's like, man, I swear I had one of the Tom Khas, but can't
I
find it.
can't find it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Shades has been
Shades, they do really
Impressive.
good
What
sours.
kind of sour? It's just a...
Tom Kha, as in
Have you
like
ever had
Thai Tom Kha.
Yeah, so
No.
Tom Kha, it's a Thai coconut soup.
Oh.
And it's super, super spicy with all the chili flakes, but it balances out with the sweetness of the coconut. And so they nailed it. If you just take all of that flavor profile, it's basically coconut milk, a lot of Thai chilies, and a ton of lime, and then a bunch of veggies and stuff that you can throw in. But those three components in the soup, and they just took that and incorporated it into a beer. I don't know how they made it work, but it was
Apparently it tastes
spicy
like exactly
and
what
sweet
Tom Kha
and
should
acidic.
taste, while
And it was
also being just a good beer.
incredible.
Wow.
Incredible. And then my runner-up, it's another local beer that I've also only ever had once. I don't know if I'll ever get it again because it was unnamed. I got both of these beers at Slackwater, which is a pizza place up in Ogden. And this honorable mention, it's a 2-row beer, but the only label was it's limited release sour number 2. And that's all it was. But oh god, it was so damn good. It was just everything you want in a sour. It's just super just astringent and just that bile taste, but also tons of fruity flavors and just easy, crisp to sip on. And
Sour number 2. All right.
I'll probably never find it again.
That's half of what makes it such a good, the golden unicorn standard.
And then shout out to Landshark, my favorite beer of all time.
I really wanted the Montucky cold snack to be good. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
I want to
got a
tote
great
around
name.
Montucky cold snacks all day, but I just can't.
It's just sort of one of those middle of the ground, just like generic lagers.
It's a Coors, basically.
Yeah. Montana Coors.
Worst beers of the show. I know we all were not a fan of
Actually,
Park
hold on.
City.
Before we, before we jump into that, there was one. It was the other beer that Cory missed on the same episode that we did the 2018
Damn.
one. Epic Brewing,
fuck, guys?
Oak and Orchard series, the Cabernet.
Oh yeah. Was it the peach or the raspberry?
It was the Cab Sav. It was the aged one,
Oh yeah,
and it was so good. We had 2 aged beers on the show. It was kind of like the theme there of just Old Commander and aged.
Yeah, it was
stuff.
the aged sour with cherry, blackberry, and black currant. That's the one. It was the dark purple one.
Yeah.
and that one was fucking good.
It was incredible. Like
Yeah, you're not wrong.
that episode was just like, oh, it was so fucking good. Just because like it didn't matter which beer you were on, and you were just going to be having a fucking good time. And
It was one of those episodes where we just kept looking at each other with a smile and just
Yeah,
going,
it's like-
"We did good."
yeah, like because I remember just like because that was the first time tasted the Goose Island Bourbon County Brand Stout at all, and it was just like,
Right.
man, that seems like I was like, man, that's an expensive beer, but Like it's literally like the jumping off point for me for like buying more expensive beers, just because I know that
Slippery slope.
yeah, they can be worth it. Like I talked to my father and just like talking about some of the beers that we've had and the expense, and he's just like, I don't see how a beer should ever be worth more than like $1. And just like, well, I mean, if you're buying shit beer,
Yeah, you're buying
that's
the
what it is.
wrong beer, Dad.
But as soon as you have that experience, and like as soon as I tasted the stout, like you could hear it in my voice on the episode. I was smiling, and I literally was just so gleeful that I couldn't stop smiling for like the next like 10 minutes, and you could hear it because I was just like so excited and ecstatic to have this beer and just like sipping on it the entire time. And then we tried Garion's, and I was like, damn, that's also really fucking good, even though this is clearly better. But it was also really fucking good.
Yeah, I think beer it's weird to say that beer drinking is a hobby because obviously it's something people do for a lot of different reasons, but for us it's a hobby and something that we enjoy. And just the fact that people make these kinds of beers and beers of these calibers, I think just goes to show you how much beer making has come even just in this century.
Yeah.
Even just in the past 20 years.
Yeah, just I think beer appreciation has gone up in so many different ways. And I mean, just the fact that we're doing this just goes to show you that we appreciate beers, and all of you guys probably appreciate beers. I know a lot of you are just here for the magic, but I know a lot of you are just here for the beers too.
We've got two worlds colliding on this podcast here.
Our two of our favorite worlds.
I was going to say, it's not really like two worlds that are different from us because they're both kind of a social avenue for us.
Yeah, they go hand in hand
Yeah.
for us, but maybe for other people.
Yeah, it's like we get together with friends, play Magic, crack a few cold ones, and just like, yo, have you tried this? And it's like that line is just, have you tried this? Is one of the things that is so...
Everybody looks, what? What is it?
It's like so important to our friend group and our play group just because it is that social experience of just sharing and enjoying, the same things, not necessarily the same flavors, but just the same ideas and the same like novel experiences of trying new things together.
Yeah, and just like how we deep dive into all these beers and look at the backstories and all these flavor profiles, people do the exact same thing with Magic cards. Like,
Absolutely.
people look at deck lists and just read cards all day and be like, this goes well with this deck. Or like, did you look at all the spoilers for the new set and just already making decks? And then other people just, they stick to their cores and they just stay top level and they just like, I saw this new set, I'm just going to buy a couple packs, and they just stay out of it as much as possible. And so I think just being able to deep dive like this with all of you guys, I think it's just great that we have just this opportunity.
Yeah, I think that now is a good time to jump into the worst beers after Cory just has
After that
this like
inspiring
poetic
speech, let's go to the rock bottom.
I think hands down the worst beer this year.
The
Coors Light.
infamous. No, not Coors. I would.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Coors Light was better than
Coors Light
yeah.
is okay.
Coors Light is
It's not bad.
functional. It's not
okay.
It's not Natty Light, which is worse.
It's not Milwaukee's Ice Best.
Also
which is
awful.
bad.
Ice House, same category there. But the worst craft beer we've had this year was such a disappointment and such a like assault on the taste buds. It just like I don't know, man. It's like I felt like I was being punished for trying new things.
Insane.
It was like 10-day-old popcorn.
That somebody threw their like laundry into.
That was the Park City
Brewery,
American Ale.
the APA.
Yeah.
American Pale Ale. Yeah.
And I've had other stuff from Park City. It's not like they're a bad brewery.
Yeah, I don't know. It must have. I hope that
it was
we
just
just
like
got a bad
a
one.
skunked one, yeah. That would be great. Really. Not great that we drank it, but great that maybe they didn't fuck it up that hard.
To that effect, though, I will say Cory was like the hero of that episode because I was having because like it really did taste like butter, and butter is like one of the things that I will avoid at all costs. And Cory's just like, I'll take one for the team here. And took that
I
beer
love
upon
butter,
himself.
and it did not taste like butter.
Well, it was like butter and sweat socks. It was like
I got more of the sweat socks.
yeah, I was like all butter, a little bit of sweat, but
Yeah.
it just like every single time that I went back to taste it, which I did several times, and I don't know why I decided to punish myself like that. Because every single time I'm like, there's no way it was still that bad.
Yeah, it's the hope that it was just a weird taste.
But like I've never been so close to vomiting when it comes to tasting a beer as I have to that. And I've tasted some just like absolutely shit beer, but it's like, yeah, that's shit beer. Not this is
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had anything that bad.
Yeah.
That I've been like, okay, yeah, you can't mess this up. It's an APA. We're good.
To
No,
me,
not
the
good.
barley wine that we had,
The one that Sean had on that episode?
the one that Sean had, yeah, on
oh
our Brewers Week.
the wine.
That one was a close second to me because
Really?
I'm just not a wine guy. And
Yeah,
those,
I guess wine's grown on me.
What
so.
are they esters? They're not. What are tannins? The tannins, the wine characteristic. I was just like, oh my god, thank you, Sean, for taking it. And I felt really bad because
see, the
like
irony
Sean's
of
the
that was
guest
that
and he's the sour guy.
the
He got
sour
the
guy.
fucking
Yeah.
worst beer.
Yeah, sorry,
I
Sean.
disagree. I thought that beer was totally fine. Like I loved the strawberry basil sour Nova because one, it was his almanac, and we were like, yo, these guys know how to fucking do sours, and so that's the reason why I got that one. But also just basil's like one of my favorite any edible thing ever.
My favorite leaves.
Yeah, right. I was trying to describe it, just like it's just one of my favorite edibles. Like anything that I can eat, this is up there. But yeah, I was just like, because that one was fantastic, and Sean wasn't a fan of that one. But the fact that we had one of the 10 barrels, like I think the 10 barrel deserves a shout out from us, just because
they've been getting a lot of play too.
yeah. Like
10 barrels dope. They hold up.
they really do. Even for
We're gonna
someone
bring
who isn't
Sean
sour.
back and get him a.
We
get him
do
prop
need a
up,
redemption episode.
Yeah, for him.
Maybe one where he doesn't get right off of 12-hour shift and
Yeah, that was
to
bad
sell.
What about you, Cory? You got any other?
I mean,
Bad beers, good
I
beers.
haven't had a lot of bad. I haven't had a lot of bad beers. I've had some okay ones that I didn't write down the names or anything because I.
It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, just
It's
like
the
okay,
time.
It's a beer.
It was kind of like when we first tasted the sour. I'm like, okay, that's not what I expected. It's not bad, but it's not good. I'm just like, this is an okay beer, and then I just move on.
Yeah, as far as like bad beers go, there's like a couple that we've had on the show. Like you talked about it earlier, but the White Russian.
Oh, yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
It goes
Yeah.
from like, it's weird, right? Because one of my favorite breweries, I guess, maybe not favorite brewery, but they have one of my favorite beers.
Yeah,
right?
they're
It's in my
dope.
top 5. It's always going to be there. Like the Milk Stout Nitro, America's Stout. It's just delicious. But having that and then having the White Russian, which is you know exactly what it is just by reading the label, and I think that's both the good thing and the bad thing about it, because the first time you taste, you're like, holy shit, they nailed it, and then you keep drinking it and you keep drinking it, and that's all it is, and it's like I don't have a 16-ounce White Russian for a reason.
Yeah, I think it's almost the complete antithesis of this beer, where we talked about the flavor complexity for about 10 minutes, and
We could still talk about it.
yeah, and it's still going, but the White Russian beer is just like, yep, that's the taste, and it never changed.
Like kudos to
it
them for
didn't
like
get different.
trying something, and
I mean, they nailed what they were going
yeah,
for.
it is exactly what you expect, and like
And
shout
I
out
think
to like
drinking it
the
wicked
Bowski
cold
and, like,
and kind of fast. Like I'm not advocating chugging the White Russian, but like drinking
when
it
it's
quicker than
8.9%.
we drink it. If you drink it within like a 10 or 15 minute window, it's probably way better than drinking it over an hour and a half.
I think it's something that you have your friends are like, yo, this is crazy. Let's try it. And then like you split it up and like that's how you do it. But
Yeah, it's part of the problem too is that it's an extreme flavor,
Yeah.
being that it was extremely sweet. And anytime you have something that's very extreme, you have to worry about the longevity of that to a person's palate because it's very, very strong. Extremely sour, unless you're absolutely a diehard fan of sours, it can wear on you. You don't want to have 4 of them. Extremely bitter, extremely alcohol. Just extreme alcohol. There's a reason people sip scotch. You know what I mean? They don't just chug. Well, also you'd get fucked up real quick. But
you'd just be burning money at that point.
yeah, like there's a reason that extreme flavors come in smaller doses. And so if you're going to make something that sweet, you just have to know that the shelf life of it on a person's palate is going to be lower than a middle of the ground beverage, I guess. So hopefully you guys are not insulted by our picks. These are personal opinions. These are like, we're just walking through life, picking things we like and don't, The barley wine, like I said, is my tastes. There are people that are going to love that beer because they love wine.
Actually, there's one more like shout out that I have to make on this
For
episode.
a good or a bad?
Land
I
check.
guess it's a shout out.
for good, for sure.
I put Coors in my lower thirds. Probably bottom 3.
Okay, sorry, just because you said that, it reminded me. I have a sub shout out here. PBR.
What the hell are we talking about?
cucumber
Whoa.
and lime.
Okay, yep.
Tell me that was not
Highlight.
good.
Yep, that was a highlight.
That was good.
Like that was surprising,
It was-
and it was just like, what the fuck am I doing?
It's a spicy meatball.
But it was actually pretty fucking good. But the other shout out that I have to make is for the IPAs we've had throughout the year, because the hazies have been exceptional. The juicies have been exceptional.
The
And then
sours are pretty good.
the hazy juicies are just like next level. And it's funny because a lot of them are just like sublisted as Imperial IPAs, and you're just like, ooh, I got to stay away from that.
Those
but like,
are two very, very different terms.
yeah, just the idea behind it, right? But they are Imperial IPAs because of the strength and because of the way that they're made.
Yeah.
But they have those just genuinely incredible flavors. Like you look at the, whatever it was, the Mountain Volume 4, whatever it was from Jackson, like that one was really fucking good. The San Diego Ripper, the San Diego Pale Ale.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck's a San Diego Pale Ale? Turns out, delicious.
Yeah, and then there was like the Seaquake.
Yeah, Seaquake was
Got
interesting.
from California.
But that's more of a Gosa, but it's just kind of the things that we aren't expecting to be as enjoyable as they are, right? We have this kind of misconceived perception of what a IPA is going to be. You know, it's got like super bitter, harsh, like piney taste. But a lot of them this year and maybe it's because we're looking for those things specifically that have really been exceptional. We had an IPA, it was like 100 IBUs, but like honestly pretty damn good. The doobie that we had for Drew's Brews, like Gary and I just sat there, sipped on it. We saved a little bit for Cory when he came in. I'm like,
hell yeah.
that was not a assault on your palate compared to some of the other IPAs we've had that are only like 60 IBUs.
I think really that's the problem, is that the first experience, especially for me with IPAs, were from my brother, who's a double and triple IPA kind of guy. Like him and my cousin Pete would just sit around with 6 or 12 double IPAs, not fruity, not juicy, hazy, nothing, like just hop leaf matter. Like, dude, you should try this. And I'm like, oh my God.
It was hard to drink with both of them sometimes.
Yeah, so I just hear IPA and I go, no, thank you, I'm out.
Those are the ones that's like, it'll fuck your tongue and then have a cigarette afterwards.
Yeah, and so I think that's a weird explanation, but I agree. I think with the way that we pick beers, we found ones that were specifically trying to accentuate like the tartness or the fruity or kind of those tropical flavors, and in those ways they can be extremely refreshing.
Yeah, like
and
the Bat
delicious.
Scratch we had recently.
Yeah.
Like that one surprised me because I was just like, I had this idea of what it was going to be, and it wasn't that. Like we held on to that for a while because we're just like, none of us really want to like dive into it. And then as soon as we did, it was like, holy shit! Like as soon as I poured that and I was like, smelled it, I immediately was like, I'll have this one for the show. And then as soon as I tasted it, I was just like, yo, you guys are going to love it.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. As always, we want to tell you, do not drink and drive. Do not drink underage. We are not responsible for your dumbass behavior.
But we want you to be responsible for your dumbass behavior.
Yeah, so think about it before you start doing stupid
Think about
shit.
it before you drink about it.
Ooh.
And if our story from earlier is any indication, thinking just a little bit ahead can save you a whole lot of pain and embarrassment. So don't
Yeah, think
fuck up.
about what's going on around you, not just what you're doing.
Yeah, so hit us up with all your favorite beers, your favorite tribes, and your best Garion moments.
There's a whole Discord server just for fucking that right there. But thank you guys so much. Seriously, we love our whole audience. We're really picking up steam this year. We're about to wrap up the year here in a couple weeks, and we just couldn't be more stoked. It's been so fun. As we like to say on this Magic the Gathering podcast,
Have fun.
But not too much.